Hi, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you?
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Well, I guess that's part of the irregular conversations part that we are irregularity is our thing.
Look at
Although
that.
I think this has been a bit of a distance since the last one, so it's
All
good
right.
to
Very
see you.
irregular, hasn't it? Been
Yeah,
specifically irregular for the
it's
last one.
more
But
than regular.
stuff has happened, right? So
Yeah.
in that in-betweeny time,
Yes.
the world has started to open up a little bit. We're
I know.
starting to come back into person. I've been to the pub twice on a Tuesday lunchtime just because I don't like other people particularly. Um, but I thought we should discuss that, right? So
Okay. You
with
going
it,
to the
with
pub?
no, they're coming back to real life.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Although pub chat would probably be more interesting. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I want to take an angle of what do we lose and what do we gain, like from the coming back to real life. Like, what do we lose first? Because everybody will go, "Oh, we gain all sorts of stuff," but let's keep it interesting. What do you reckon we lose by going back to some semblance of what it was like 2019?
That's a really good question, actually, and I don't know. And I think you're right. It's easy to just go, "Oh no, no, everything is better then." And I think what the immediacy of face to face, I think, is something that we will lose a bit. For example, if I want to see you in the old world, we kind of have to book it because we've got other stuff in and that's it. Whereas, it makes it much harder for you to avoid me because I know you can't be anywhere else. I know where you are. And I think, that is something that, I have, I don't, you say it quietly. I haven't hated lockdown life. It's not been without its challenges, certainly, but, it is, there has been some positives in kind of what I do and how I do it, and kind of your thought process and kind of stress and etc. All those things that we've talked about. But yeah, I think that yeah, I wonder if we'll lose a bit of our. It's just going to sound really daft. I wonder if we'll lose a bit of our freedom again. Whereas now we can pick and choose a bit more. I wonder if we'll almost automatically go headlong into the old world, new whatever, and actually we'll have forgotten that we get to be in control of our time a bit. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. So I think like one of the things I'm going to bring in is kind of a filter, right? Like a more stringent choice about where I'm going to go. Whereas before, like in 2019, I would properly not flinch at going to say Leicester or Birmingham or Nottingham or London for like a meeting or like a coffee
Yeah.
and a lunch. Where now I'm like, well, I'm not sure I need to do like what do you actually want? Do you know,
Yeah.
like what do you actually want? Obviously, I'll meet friends and people who are like in the real life, like socially, and I think
That's very
social
reasonable of you, mate.
meeting people socially is a different kettle of fish. It's nice to do that, right? It's nice, but from a business perspective, like I think increasing that choice, so we might lose the ability to choose as strictly. If people go, well, we're not doing it online now, we're in real life, and you go, well, now I've got to go to Leicester for 6 p.m. on a Thursday instead of
Yeah.
upstairs. Isn't as appealing, right? So we might lose that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think perhaps those points they are sort of tied up. I think it will be interesting the amount of people that will insist on face to face when actually it isn't necessary. And I think it's you can almost kind of see that was that email really necessary? Was that meeting really necessary? Kind of thing, or could it have been done another way? And I think there is an angle on there, but I think those two things tie in. I think it would be really easy for people to ignore the ease of facilitating stuff that this has given us. And and I know a lot of stuff has kind of been made a lot harder, but I think that's it's a really good point. I'm definitely I mean I'm a people person. I thrive off people, and that is it's something that's kind of a big part of my world. But I'm definitely going to be much more selective about the events that I go to. I have enjoyed more time. I've done more kind of hobby stuff. I've kind of fitter and all sorts of different, etc. And I don't want to lose that. And I don't think you need to lose it. And I think there is kind of a plenty argument. There's plenty of arguments for actually an amalgamation of these two worlds. Not just going, oh well, we can now. Let's just go headlong into it. And again, it's going to be that. It's for both sides, because that person says, look, we definitely want the meeting. But look, that's 2 hours out of your day. It's 2 hours of my day, which we probably do in half an hour. No travel, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. It is an interesting one, mate. It is an interesting one.
So another thing I think I lose is I've had a lovely time getting into communities and meeting communities, like people in Liverpool, out the other side of kind of like 3 or 4 communities in London, some kind of Bristol, right? I would, with all the will in the world, right? It's really difficult for me in the middle of the country, South Derbyshire, to get to those people and those communities on a regular basis, right? It's a lot of travel, train or driving or organizing of time. They're all, a decent number of hours away. To get to.
Yeah.
And they're full of amazing people that I've had a real pleasure meeting. And if they all go, right, well, we're all back on in real life, hurrah, won't they leave or lose a bunch of people from outside of that area, right? And I will be particularly sad if they stop doing online versions of that, if I'm honest, because I've met some great people in there.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, kind of who stays the course. I think there'll certainly be now that we can. Won't it be brilliant to meet up? And actually, everyone will be invited, but you're not going to go to Liverpool for a beer because not often. But I wonder if it'll sort of go out and then kind of come back in again. So actually, people think, oh God, there was that big community that we didn't have, and how can we use that? And I think, I think it has been something that's been made so much easier to meet different people. Like kind of people that you would just never have met before. And I think, I think you're right. I think that is something that doesn't have to be, but probably will be lost to the realities of life and speed and pressures and all that kind of stuff. That will be a really easy thing to lose.
And I think there's a swathe of people, the older grey suit, white shirt, red tie brigade of business people who are chomping at the bit and have just been waiting to touch everybody's sandwiches on a finger buffet at a networking thing and use their clammy.
You're so concerned about buffets, aren't you?
I really am. And then clammy-handed handshakes that they seem to think the business world around. I think there'll be a driver. There's more people in that camp than I think we think.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the other side, then, what do you think we gain? Kind of notwithstanding the going to see people and the kind of the mental power and all that kind of stuff. What do you think we gain?
I think there's, like, being a guy who usually delivers to groups of people for a job, like delivers some training or words of some sort, right? There's definitely energy in a room of people, right? It feels different. You can read people. I know you can see people's faces on Zoom and it's just a different energy. And I think I missed that energy and maybe spontaneity. And, it's like our friend Victoria Taylor would say, it's an experience, right? It's an experience to go and do a thing. On here is you do the training, right? You do the workshop. It's the same, but is it as good an experience, right? Is it the other stuff, right, that makes it valuable? Like I went to Festival of Marketing in London, October 2019. Last big thing I went to, right?
Yeah.
Like thousands of people, loads of talks, like it was amazing. Like, and the talks were good. Like I can now view them on YouTube, right? The content isn't super important, but the whole experience, the other stuff makes it an experience. And I think it's that, right? I think there needs to be, I don't think it vanished completely on Zoom, but sorry, we're running out of time. Hey, stop it. Sorry, interrupting bellness. But I think it's that, right? I think we miss, there is definitely, it's not definitely as enough experience online. And I don't know how we can combat that.
Yeah, I think so. I think people are Zoom bored and I get all that. And again, events are great. I mean, look at something like Marketed, which is still the best event I go to. I know it is still the best event, and it is one of those rare things that actually the content is kind of better than anything you get elsewhere, but delivered in that space with those people. That's the thing. I think that buzz, that energy. I think that is something that we will gain again. I think the big one for me is being able to have your ear to the ground a bit more. What I really noticed with, if you want to hear what's, just get a general, because people kind of, because of what we do, because of what I do, people most, particularly in the last few weeks, look, what's happening, Paul? What do you know? What are you feeling? What are you seeing? How's the industries looking? Da, 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 da. And actually, that's really difficult to get digitally, because digitally is only ever kind of specific one-to-one conversations, or the kind of the networking things, which is, again, it's never the same. It's not the same. It's the overheard conversations. It's the buzz. It's when you're being at events. It's all that stuff, kind of ear to the ground stuff. And I think that is something that, particularly kind of doing what I do, kind of that strategic view of kind of what's working, what isn't, blah, 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 blah. That is something that I think is really valuable. And I think that is something that I look forward to be able to kind of have, kind of overhearing stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do. It's difficult, even on Zoom, and well facilitated for more than one person to talk at once, where in a real room, there's a bit more of that, isn't it? But that's good, mate. I think we've answered that question.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think that it is genuinely going to be interesting, kind of what comes up. I'm both kind of excited and reticent, if that's the right phrase about it, because I don't want to lose the good stuff I've got, but I am very excited about, being able to lick strangers again.
Yeah, same. And I'm excited by the potential of licking you again in real life, which will be lovely. So
it seems like a reasonable time to end it.